Hello world, hello people, hello humans, hello men, hello women. My name is Siri and I have something very important that I want to talk to you about. I'm making this video to really share first and foremost with our community, our close tribe of network of friends and family that are near and dear to our hearts, but also for a larger audience and anyone who is really ready to receive this. And I understand that there's going to be a lot of people that are not ready to receive what I'm about to say. And that's okay. I'm not here to proselytize. I'm not here to preach. I'm not here to change anybody's mind. But what I am here to do is bring more awareness to our actions. None of what I'm about to say has been scripted, written down, rehearsed, practiced. This is all right off the cuff and something that I want to share with you. It's really important right now. As we're going through a wild time. I mean, you can probably understand. But what I want to talk about today is how we treat each other as humans and create safe spaces. And right now I'm filming here in the Space Shift, our beautiful studio. And we call it the Space Shift because this is a place where we make shift happen. We teach our Yoga Galactica classes. We teach all sorts of different types of community events, from integration circles to healing combo ceremonies. And our number one goal is to create a safe space for women, a safe space for men, and a safe space for anyone that needs to come here and feel that safety. And the reason I'm talking today and what I'm going to talk about is very personal to me, and it's something that I've been wanting to share for a long time, but I didn't really know how to find the words or how to express this. And finally, it came to a head where some things have happened recently in my personal life and in the life of my close, dear friends, and I feel it's time to share. We are in the wake of the metoo movement, and what I mean by the wake of it is we've really just opened the door for this conversation, because before, men and women are not excluded in this conversation, but it is primarily directed at men. But I just want to let you know that women need to be held to the same standards and the same accountability that men are. When we talk about personal safety, personal space, crossing the lines, and sexual misconduct, sexual misbehavior, pushing your energy, your sexual energy onto somebody without consent, and in inappropriate ways. And the interesting thing is, even with consent, and I know this becomes a gray area, you can still be crossing boundaries that aren't even there. So the point of this is to bring the utmost awareness. And, you know, the reason this is so personal to me, I grew up with very strong women in my life, from my mother and my sister. I'm currently dating a very strong, powerful woman named Kamala. Many of you guys know her. But I've also had some men in my life who did not know how to act. They did not know how to contain their energy, specifically their sexual energy, and they let it ooze out into their life from their personal space, their workspace, and these actions have created ripples in many people's lives. And it's so interesting how one simple action and one seemingly unconscious action can create a lifetime of ripple effects if it's not addressed, if it's not brought to light, and if it's not dealt with. And so somebody very near and dear to my heart unfortunately has acted out of integrity for many years, and actually even my whole life. And that's why this is very dear to me, because I feel like it is my responsibility, and it is all of our responsibility to switch this behavior, to be integrity with our words, in integrity with our actions, integrity with our energy. And what What I mean by that is without even acting or saying anything, we can be projecting a mental or even physical energy onto somebody that is creepy. All it takes is one glance, one look that can make somebody feel uncomfortable. And you know what? It happens. I'm going to go on the record right now and say that I'm not perfect. In fact, in my early 20s and my late teens, I did a lot of things that are considered out of alignment with being integrity with my personal energy, my sexual energy, how I treated women, even how I treated some men. And so this is a very important topic. But recently something happened, and I'm using this as an example to open up this conversation right now. We were at an event, and it was a small community gathering, and we were enhanced with a little substance. And, you know, there becomes a very gray line once you start bringing substances into the situation, whether it's alcohol, cannabis, GHB, mushrooms, MDMA. I mean, pretty much any substance can heighten feelings of sexuality and feelings as well as blur the lines between what is appropriate and what is inappropriate. But we're at a seemingly very let's just say very casual hangout. There was no intention of going to this place with the idea that it was going to be a sexy party, a play party, even though we have many of those in our communities. And, you know, hopefully if you're part of these communities, you can really hear this and really pay attention to what I'm about to say. But there was one man in particular that was just overtly sexual, and actually with all of the women there, and to a point where me and a few of the other men, and actually almost all the men in the room, became uncomfortable. And he did not know he was doing this, but his actions were so obvious, from spanking to breast grabbing to pulling down pants to ignoring people when they're asking for consent and making very direct comments of, is this okay? Are you asking for consent? And this behavior went on. And in fact, a few people from the party left because it was so uncomfortable. And later, after this was brought to his attention the next day, he was profusely apologetic. He was unaware about his actions. And this is where the line gets a little blurred, and in fact, very blurred, because how can you bring awareness to something that you are unconscious about? And you know what? I don't know if I have the actual answer to this, but what I can do is ask you to become vigilant in your awareness about what your hands are doing, about the energy of the people in the room, about how your actions are being perceived. And in fact, this is a time to pare back your actions. So if at one point you thought you could wink and blow kisses to somebody that you didn't really know, or you could slap someone's ass without asking them, this is a time to not do those actions. This is a time to become respectful, contain your energy in a way that creates a safe environment for everybody to feel comfortable. And again, probably half of you watching this are going to think maybe this is BS. Maybe it's triggering you because perhaps you behave in this way and you don't even know it. And so the point of this is to bring awareness to what we're doing, bring a sense of consciousness to our actions. And what's interesting is that person is not even why I'm bringing this up. But what happened after that is me and my partner were laying down on a couch or the floor, and another person came up, and actually a dear friend came up and sat next to us, and we were all cuddling, for the lack of a better word. We weren't really like cuddling, like spooning, but we were just kind of laid out and bodies were touching each other. We were fully clothed, and this man's hands began to stroke my partner's leg in a seemingly very innocent manner. And for 99.9% of the time, this would be totally okay. And in fact, because we're such close friends, we wouldn't even really need consent for behavior like this, because we all know each other. We can all speak our truth if something is making us uncomfortable. But what then happened is that this hand slowly went from the leg to the inner thigh and actually grazed my partner's genitals. And it happened a few times, and it happened to a point where it made my partner so uncomfortable that we literally had to get up and go. And in fact, I didn't know that this had happened. I was laying there. We were all kind of having a social time. And we left. And on the drive home, my partner Kamala said, "Wow, do you know what just happened?" I said, "No." And she described what happened, from the hands on the legs to slowly going up the legs and actually grazing her genitals. And what I'm talking about is the space between her legs, her yoni, for those of you that don't understand what I'm saying. And it made her feel so uncomfortable that she had to leave. We had to leave. And what's interesting is that the tone of this experience was already a little off because of the first man's behaviors that I was telling you about. And it is not uncommon for us in our community, and when I say community, I'm talking about the Los Angeles community here, that many people are polyamorous, many people are in open relationships, many people go to swinger parties, many people go to play parties. And these are areas where lines get crossed and blurred all the time. And here's the thing, men, I'm going to say this specifically to you. It is our duty to make sure that we hold a strong container with our energy, so that way the women in our community can feel safe to fully express themselves. And now I'm going to go to another experience that happened almost 2 years ago. It was about a year and a half ago. It was at a New Year's party thrown by our dear community members who are part of this open polyamorous play community, and they threw a New Year's party, and there's an older gentleman there. Some of you may know him just by me saying this. I'm not going to name any names in this video because this is not a call-out video. This is to open people's eyes about how such simple actions can lead to such dramatic effects, and how unconscious behavior needs to end. I'm sorry. If you have hands, you should know where you're putting your hands. If you have eyes, you should know where you're putting your eyes. If you have an attraction to somebody, you should know that if you're looking at them and you're thinking that you want to have sex with them, make out with them be your future partner, wife, you are projecting an energy that you might not think you are, but that is being picked up upon by women. Women are way more sensitive to this than men are, and I know it because I'm surrounded by women constantly, and I hear all the stories. It's the subtle things, those little looks, those little glances, those little hands on the hips as you pass by someone. Those are the behaviors that are seemingly so small that create ripples, and they create an unsafe environment for not just women, but then it creates an unsafe environment for everyone, because if the women aren't safe, then nobody is safe, because we're actually all in this together. And what happened was, we were at this New Year's party. There was an amazing DJ. There were at least 150 people there, probably at least 75 people on the dance floor. And there was a few people in very scantily, let's just say they were wearing a thong and a sheer robe, and that's it. And yes, I feel very privileged to be able to attend experiences like this in a way that these environments are cultivated to create this open type of experience where people can walk around naked, people can twerk in a thong, and ideally not get rubbed up against on. And I understand in the club culture, you can't do that, because that's literally like putting bloody fish in shark-infested waters, and they're just going to attack. And that's why the club culture right now, and I haven't been to clubs in a long time, but I just know those are not safe spaces at all. And that's part of the reason why we have our ecstatic dance events here, to create a safe space where people can dance without those looks, without those creeps coming up on you, trying to hit on you. And yes, I'm talking to men or women, but I'm also talking to men, because this goes both ways. Women can have this behavior towards men. Men can have this behavior towards women. Women can have this behavior towards other women, and men definitely have this behavior towards other men. So this is all of our problem right now. And when I say problem, I don't mean it's something that's broken. When I say problem, I mean it's something that needs to be brought to light, that needs to raise all of our awareness around it so we really can live in a place of love, harmony, joy, and feel safe and feel like we can express ourselves. So back to the New Year's party. What happened here is this woman, gorgeous woman, was dancing essentially topless. She had a thong on and she had a sheer robe on, but everyone can see her breasts. They were out. It was exciting. I felt honored in that moment to be in this place where, wow, we are so free that women can be dancing pretty much naked on the dance floor, and it's not like a big deal. It's not like everyone's cameras are out, and it's not like we're at some, spring break where everyone's chanting, show your tits, or Mardi Gras, or whatever. This is, in fact, these types of experiences are what we're cultivating as a community. And what happened then is this older man came up to this woman, and they don't know each other. They did not know each other. And without her asking, she's still relatively topless, and I think she may have had that sheer robe on or not. I don't remember that specific detail, but he came up behind her, not in front of her. He came up behind her, put his hands on her shoulder. This is the first no-no. Let me tell you, there is not one single part of a woman or a man that you can touch without getting verbal, full consent. I'm sorry, putting your hand, on their head, on their shoulder, on their breast, on their hips, on their leg is off limits unless you guys know each other, there is verbal consent, and both parties feel okay with it, okay? Get that, let that sink in. So he put her hand on his shoulder. This was the first red flag. He starts massaging her. They don't know each other. She doesn't know him. She's half naked. She doesn't even see who this person is, and she's getting a massage from him. This is way out of line already. So there's two red flags. Not only did he touch her without consent, he starts to massage her. And this is totally out of a line. So she quickly turns around and looks at him, and she's taken aback, but they do introduce each other, and they start to have a conversation. And now what follows in this conversation, I don't know the exact words that happened, but there was a back and forth exchange, names were exchanged, and all of a sudden this man starts spewing out some spiritual mumbo jumbo of, you're so beautiful, you are like a butterfly, the ancestors thank you because you're doing this for all of the women, and it's not about looks at all, it's about being free. And in that moment, he takes his hand and flicks and squeezes her bare nipple. And what she did is she reacted and literally closed up like a clam and was like, what are you doing? And he stepped back and he was like, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm sorry, I'm out of alignment. I didn't mean to do that. Okay, stop right there. How do you not mean to reach out your hand and grab somebody's exposed bare nipple? I'm sorry, you have control over your body. You do. And if you're watching this video, you know exactly who I'm talking about. And I know most of the people watching this video are going to know exactly who I'm talking about. Yet I'm still not going to name names because this needs to be, this is not about naming names here, but awareness needs to be brought to our actions, to our community. So this is a safe space. He apologized. She wrapped up and she came running away to where Kamala and I were in a completely other room. And she's in tears, like bawling, closed up, wrapped up, 180-degree different from 5 minutes prior to where she was dancing. She was even twerking on the dance floor, pretty much naked. She had a G-string on, so she was covered up, but it was a fun vibe, These are the types of parties that we are privileged to hold and experience. So she comes running up to us. She's in tears, and I don't know why specifically she came up to us, but I know Kamala saw her in tears and she came up to us, and I personally feel it's because the way that Kamala and I hold our integrity, our actions, the way we don't project off unwarranted sexual energy, we are a safe place. just being in our energy is a beacon of safety. And I want anybody to know that. So she comes up to us and she literally tells us exactly what happened. We knew who it was without her even naming the name. That's how we knew this man's energy and actions were inappropriate. And so she told us the story, and we didn't even know what to think, but all we could do is be there for her, listen to her, let her speak her truth and tell her it's going to be okay, and try to calm her down because she was in a state of frenzy. And this is the ripple effect that I'm talking about of one small action, one misbehavior, one touch, one look can create a tidal wave ripple effect through what was seemingly a safe space. And so, we got her to, she was going to leave the party, but we got her to a place where she felt okay. And then, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but now Kamala and I felt like it was our duty to go talk to this person, because once a line like this gets crossed in an environment and one person starts feeling shut down, it's going to create that vibe through the entire evening, whether people are aware of it or not. So we go and confront this man. We tell him exactly what happened from her perspective. We tell him, and immediately he tries to deny it. And then he tries to claim it was unconscious behavior. He rolled his eyes at us as we talked to him for an hour, and he created excuse after excuse after excuse. And to me, that's all it was, just excuses. He did not own up to his behavior. I don't even know if he ever apologized in person to this person's face, and it created a ripple effect through the community. And now I do know there was a Facebook apology, but to be honest, that's like putting a Band-Aid on a broken leg. That's a simple little online Facebook apology. Sure, it's sweet, that's great, but that's not really going to help heal the wounds that were created. So, I was at a point in my life where I was not as vocal as I am now. I'm not as forward and coming out as I am now about topics like this. But I knew something needed to be said, and honestly, I wanted to blast it out on social media. I wanted to make an example of this experience about how these types of behaviors cannot happen. They just cannot happen if we're trying to create safe spaces. And unfortunately, the organizers of the event, we were all on the same page, but the ball got dropped somewhere down the line, and it was never actually brought into a community setting with elders where we could literally all talk about this and help bring this to awareness. So, you know what? That event, I think, is still up in the ethers. Maybe this video can help bring some closure to it. I'm not sure. But what I am sure about is, as men, as women, as humans, we need to be hyper vigilant about our energy, about how we touch people, and be conscious about every situation that we're in. And, maybe a few things to do are maybe practice celibacy for a little bit. Maybe practice not watching so much porn and masturbating so much. This is something I personally had to let go of a long time ago. And that's helped me heal my relationship with how I view women. Because when I was in my teens and when I was in my early 20s living in Santa Barbara in a party town, I would look at a woman and I would think, how can I be with this person? I want to be with this person. What can I do to get into this person's, intimate space? That's not how I view women anymore. And in fact, a big part of that was letting go of a long-time pornography addiction. And I know that 99% of the men, and maybe I don't know what percentage of women, have a porn addiction. And this is literally corrupting and infecting our minds, our spirits, about how we view each other as people. Because I'm sorry, there is no pornography that's made right now that holds men or women in a high regard. In fact, all of it is degrading, disrespectful, and it's just not how real intimacy and sex occurs. So, maybe letting go of porn, letting go of that addiction is something that you can start to do to create more consciousness about how you project your energy. In Kundalini Yoga and Yogi Bhajan, and he's a whole nother person that I could talk about on another video, but he did have a lot of powerful things to say. And he said, if you project from your first, second, or third chakras, which are generally the sexual energies, this creative energy, this fearful energy, and you project your energy from this space, that's what you're putting out there. But if you can project your energy from the heart, from the third eye, from the crown, which is a much more I don't want to say enlightened, but it's a much more respectable place to project your energy from, then you're starting to be in integrity with your actions, with your words, with where your hands end up. And you know, I'm not exactly sure how this video is going to land, but I knew that I had to use my voice right now to hopefully help other people to use their voice. And I encourage you, if you have ever been touched misappropriately, whether that's sexually or even not in a sexual behavior, whether somebody said something to you, even whether somebody has asked consent but then pushed the boundaries on that, I encourage you to use your voice, speak your truth, let it be heard, maybe make an example, because all of this needs to be brought to the light right now. We are literally living in a time where this has happened for thousands of years, and literally throughout our current written history about men abusing women, and rape and pillage has been part of our culture for a long time. And finally, it's coming to a point where this can hopefully brought back into balance, because the women are the guardians of our children. They're the guardians of life. They're the guardians of this earth. They're the guardians of emotions. And if they're not safe, none of us are safe. I'm sorry, we're just not. So if you took anything from this video, it's to bring more awareness to your actions. It's to bring more awareness to how you touch people. It's to bring more awareness to how you look at people. And it's to treat each other as brothers and sisters, not objects or sex slaves that we can just use and abuse for our own personal gain. We are in this together. We are all humans. We are all creative, and we all have this infinite ability to love and really be super loving and in integrity. But something has to switch, and I was feeling very called to make this video. And fortunately, we were able to talk to the people that this smaller event that happened a couple weeks ago, we were able to talk to both men, and both of them were so apologetic. And we used this as a conversation starter to bring more consciousness. No one was blaming anyone. And, you know, we just wanted to let everyone know how we felt and how these actions made us feel. And in fact, it really helped bring awareness to this. So if you're ever in a space where you're feeling unsafe, someone's touching you inappropriately, someone's looking at you inappropriately, please let them know, let your friends know, and make your voice be heard. This is not a time for timid sheep. This is a time for strong, powerful, embodied humans, men and women. And the reason I say women too, because this has to be held standard for all, because a woman cannot go and slap a man's ass and everyone laughs it off, but then the man goes and slaps her ass and all of a sudden it's sexual harassment. So this needs to be tweaked, and women, you need to do your job to also contain your sexual energy and not give it off as though you're asking to receive this. And men, doing this to other men is wildly inappropriate, and you need to contain your sexual energy. And I'm sorry, if this is offending you, maybe that means you really need to hear it. So these words are from the heart. They're with love. I pray for us as humans to all elevate our consciousness, to all elevate our energy, so that way we truly can live in a place of harmony, a place of safety, and live in this utopian world where we can all feel free and live our best, truest lives. I love you guys. If you ever need to reach out, please reach out to myself, Kamala, Yoga Galactica. And in fact, Kamala and her friend Anna are starting a women's circle here called Real Talk. And that's starting this Monday. And we're also gonna be doing a men's and women's circle as well as a men's circle. So if this is hitting you or striking a chord with you in a way you feel you need to take action on it, then please, I consider you joining us. I consider you making your voice heard, and let's bring all of this to the light. Right now, this is our time to bring more awareness and more consciousness to these things, and do it with love, not with judgment, not with blaming, but do it with love. We need more compassion. So I hope you hear this. I hope you receive this. I hope you have a beautiful day. Women, we love you. Men, we love you. We love, it's all love. So thank you, thank you, thank you.